Hi there, my name's Dave and I build custom automations. Today, I'm going to show you an automation that scrapes Reddit, generates pain point research so that you can use this as the foundation for your social media campaign. Here's an example of what we're trying to solve for. How much time you spend creating content versus coaching, right? This guy is just trying to keep their content fresh without spending hours on it. That's exactly what we're solving for. This is an example of the email that you'll get in your inbox. It lists the pain point that the poster has expressed, and then the comments may have suggestions for similar pain points or workarounds, and then there's a link to the actual thread. So you get this every morning, and this can serve as a great foundation for your social media posts for that week. The point here is to give you daily inspiration for your social media posts to make that a little bit simpler for you. And then in a future video, I'm going to show you how you can take this research and put it into a separate workflow that will generate the post for you on a schedule. This is going to be a high-level walkthrough of our n8n workflow. First, we decide upon the subreddit threads that are relevant to our business and that we want to do research on. We pass those to the Reddit node where we get new posts, because this is going to be occurring daily, so we only want to focus on new posts to that thread. Secondly, we have a code node set up where we have a bunch of keyword phrases that are relevant to the pain points that we're searching for. Something along the lines of, I'm struggling with, I need help with, I can't find time to, I've been procrastinating. Those sorts of keywords we filter by. And sometimes you might not get anything, and that's okay. Some posts aren't going to be relevant to the research you're trying to do, but then oftentimes you'll have several. Next, the third step is the AI analysis. We pass all of our posts and the comments associated with those posts into our AI for analysis. The LLM will do a couple things here. It'll categorize the post, letting us know whether it's actually a pain point or it could be a sales pitch. There's a lot of sales pitches that happen in these Reddit threads, but I'm keeping those for now because those could be useful. If you are also making a product or a service and you're seeing a competitor doing the same thing, I feel like that could be relevant, so I like to keep those. Once it's completed the analysis, it outputs a nice JSON structure of data that we can add to our database and use as the foundation for the final step, which is generating the report and sending it to ourselves. Also, we update the database to show that it has been emailed. Next, we're going to jump into n8n and take a more detailed approach. Okay, here we are in the n8n workflow. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough and then a more detailed walkthrough after that. First up, it starts with a scheduled trigger. Every day at 4 a.m. the workflow runs. Over here, we get all of our data from our Google Sheet. This way we can check our new posts to see if they already exist in the database or not. And if they exist, we're not interested in them because we've already seen them. This is the Reddit node that gets all the posts. These two code nodes are where our filtration happens. Again, the filtering by ID, that makes us not see any repeated posts. This is the filter by pain point node, which was step 2 in the previous talk. Here we use the Reddit node again to scrape for all of the comments on each of the posts that we've gotten. We have the AI agent here, which was the third step. And here is the prompt, which does all the heavy lifting of the analysis and the JSON structure, which we output. And then the final sequence here is really about updating our rows in our database, i.e. our Google Sheet. And then this code node creates the HTML report, which is then emailed to us. And we then finally update the rows in the sheet to say that they're emailed, and thus we don't see them again on the next day. That brings us to the end of the quick walkthrough. If you're interested in this workflow, you can get it for free. There's a link in my description for the video that will take you to the GitHub repo where you can grab the JSON and drop it into your own n8n instance and get started today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And for now, those who want to see the more detailed walkthrough, I'm going to go do it now. Okay, now let's get into the weeds. Let's get back to the beginning and I'll walk you through it. So the first thing up is the trigger. We have this triggers every day at 7 a.m. That's when the workflow runs and I get the digest in the inbox. These are the topics, we're calling them here, but really these are the subreddits. So whatever is relevant to you in your use case. After we've assigned our topics here, the next step is the splitting out so that we have an array of the topics. And that way we can run this, we can get 4 items from that single item. We get the 4 items there, and then we can run this workflow for each of those items, right? So that's an important thing to know. we have to sort of be cognizant of the amount of looping that we're doing, So I'm always keeping an eye on, how many items are coming through in each step. Right here it says 4, right? And here it says 1. So yeah, I think that's something that can really bite you in the butt if you're not paying attention to. So here's a little bit more config I'm doing, just saying the limit. So we're only getting 50 posts at a time. And Reddit thread here is hard-coded as the source. In the future, we might be able to use this with other sources other than Reddit, but right now it's only set up for Reddit. And then the first topic right there, but it will be going through each topic, passing each topic to the Reddit node. At the same time, we need to get all of our data from our Google Sheet. That happens in this node here. We get all of our data from our Google Sheet, and I use this code node here to basically consolidate all those rows down to just their IDs. So what do you guys? Oh, right. Well, previously this just ran when we had no data in there, so we didn't have any. We didn't have any IDs. If I run this now, see, now we have 240 items from our database. And now if I run this, these are all the IDs of the items that are in there. So the point of that step is to be able to check when we run this next fetch for all these posts here. We merge them together, and using the code node here, this is where we're checking. Run this. This is where we get the ID of the post, and we check if it's already been seen in our unique ID map. If it is, then we ignore it, and if it's not, then we'll proceed and we'll be looking at it as a potential new pain point topic. All right, so that's that node, and then the next node is where we have our pain points. This is where our phrases and our keywords are. Things that we're looking for: overwhelmed, frustrated, procrastination, right? And just have a little comments here to kind of classify them by seeking growth or limiting beliefs and identity. So this is all tailored again to like a mindset coach who's looking for these pain points for their particular brand of social media. But obviously those pain points are going to really affect the nature of the pain points that you find. Some are more general and some are more specific. That's where you can really kind of play around and see whatever works best for you in your use case. All right, so that's processed, and now from 190 items, we only got down to 1. And because there's 1, this if statement is going to, this if node is just going to determine whether or not we found anything in the whole process. Sometimes you might not have any pain points expressed in your daily digest, and you'll just get an email that says nothing was found today. But because we did, we'll take the true branch, this, okay. Because we've set this to always output data, that way we have some object, even if it's an empty object. That's actually what we're checking about here. So we check here to see if the length is greater than 0. Right now I got nothing because I just run the workflow and everything was already accounted for. So in order to fix that, I need to clear out the database, and I will run the whole workflow again, just so we can have it filled up with data and be able to talk about it as we go through. Okay, so there's our 10 items. Great, so yeah, in this case, we have our posts there, and now what we do is we pass the ID of the post into our Reddit node, which is going for post comments as the resource and getting many. All right. I have it limited to 10 because that just seems like a relevant amount of comments to get for each post. So I'm only getting the top 10 comments for the post, which, let's see, from there we get 40 items. Great. Obviously not every post is going to have a comment. And then I'm using this set node to just extract some potentially relevant information, like if there's likes, if it has a score. I'm not fully utilizing that at the moment, but in future iterations of this workflow I may. And from there, these next couple steps are really about just kind of taking all the comments we've gotten and nesting them under the post, and then kind of going back to working upon each post. So this code node is doing a couple things. First off, it gets all of our posts and all of our comments from the nodes. Then I create a map, calling it a comment map. But what that does is create an object where the IDs of the posts are pointing at an array, just a way of quickly assigning all of the comments back to the post. And that gets returned here as comments with posts, which in the next step, we split out with all of our posts now. And it's all the same data as before, but now we have the comments right here nested within it. Okay. And then the next step, we combine all the comments here so that it's one chunk of text, which we can then pass into our AI analysis here. This is our prompt saying it's a senior market research analysis, and we pass in the content of the post, the title, as well as the comments, which are now all accessible from our JSON that's getting passed in. This is the JSON structure that we get emitted out, which becomes the basis for our database entry, where the post category is the primary pain point, if it's validated by the community, any related pain points, any mentioned solutions or tools, and basic business opportunity summary, which is, I believe that becomes the title in the email digest. So in addition to that, I also have to add the JSON parser. This is just a more structured way of telling the LLM what we want the JSON to look like, in addition to kind of spelling it out in the prompt there. And then here is the openrouter node. This is the brain of the LLM we're using. Now, I'm using openrouter. In other cases, you might just use like an OpenAI node or a Gemini node. But what I like about openrouter so much is that here you can see basically all the LLMs are available here. So you pay openrouter one price, you pay credits for access. And I paid like $50 a few months ago, and I use it a ton, and I still have like $30 left. So it's really great, and it gives you access to everything with just one API key. So I'm a big fan of that for these workflows, and I've been using Gemini 2.5 Flash. It's very fast for this, and it's it has a really large context window. I think it's a million tokens, so that's great. It's more than we're going to need, but it's awesome. We do get into some issues with the structured output parser, not always doing a perfect job. Here you can see we succeeded on 9 out of 10 items. We erred on one of them. But when I did bump it up to Gemini 2.5, it seemed to have a much better success rate there. Again, there's workarounds that you can do there where you kind of clean up. It looks, this time we got 10 out of 10, so that's just what we want there. Here's this filter to ensure that we had output there. Sometimes it's possible that everything errors there and then there's no sense moving on. But one thing I want to show you here in the settings with LLMs, it's good to have retry on fail. You know, you can have issues, whether it be token limits or it could be down. But luckily, that's one of the good things about OpenRouter is if you if the service is down, like if the OpenAI service was down, OpenRouter would route you to a different availability zone potentially. So that can work around that. But the point is, if it's not working, I have it set to try 5 times with a 1-second wait in between. And that can help just buy you a little bit of breathing room and have the workflow succeed for you. Also, I'll just mention that I do continuing on error. And, if this were to be in production, I would be logging these errors to a system. But just to show that that's the setting that gives you this error output here, where, I could be either logging to a database or sending a Slack message to myself to notify that we're having an issue, right? Always a good practice to have proper error handling in production. So moving along, we're at our merge node where we bring the previous data together with the AI analysis we've just done. And then we're going to loop over all the items. This is the 10 items now with some of the data that we need, like the post ID and the topic and the link, and as well as now the post content. So here is where we add it to. So this is really all the data that we're really interested in. We've now combined. This is what's combining the AI analysis with the kind of raw post data and the comments that we had earlier. And this is the step, this loop here. For each of those items, we're going to add each one to the Google Sheet row. Here and here. Now, I wonder if I had this. I'm doing this in batches of 10, so that means it should only work in one run. But if I had 40 items coming through here, and because I'm running it in batches, it would make 4 calls to the Google Sheet API rather than 40, right? That wouldn't be as ideal. That's why I'm not going straight from here into the append row and sheet node. I'm using the loop to do it in batches and do significantly less API calls. So that's where we've updated our database. One thing to note there is that I am indicating that the emailed is false. That's sort of going to be what indicates whether or not the workflow is ended or not, because you'll see the last step is saying that it's been emailed and true, because that is what we are going to look for here. Now we're going to get all of our rows just so we can kind of get all the clean data. And go. All right, we've run it twice because you see this is the first batch where it was true, and now here it is again. The false is there, meaning we have not emailed that yet. And this code node is just a lot of code that I had an LLM write, where it helps handling the styling of the HTML and everything, so that it can iterate over each of the analyzed posts and use that as the basis for the digest. So that gets run, and right, and then this is where we send the message to ourselves. Okay, so after we send the message, I have all the data flowing into this merge node here. It doesn't seem like it's totally needed because you could kind of just run straight from the code to updating the rows. But the reason I want it here is because it halts the workflow until the message has been sent. Because if it were to error there or there to be a problem, I don't want to update the rows in the sheets and say that they've all been emailed if the email did not go through. So by using the merge node there, I'm ensuring that the email has been sent before we update the rows to say that they have been sent. So that allows us to go back and split out here all of our data. and loop over the rows one last time and update them as having been emailed. Okay, we ran that, and now we come over here and we see everything in our database has been emailed true, and that way when it runs the next day and we get our rows here, it'll only be getting the latest rows because those have not been emailed yet. So that is the detailed walkthrough. Thank you for sticking around. If you made it this far, you should definitely grab the workflow in the description. Totally free. It's at my GitHub repo. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you have any questions or any suggestions for how to improve this workflow. Next video, I'm going to be showing how we can take this research and make social media content with it, an automated scheduled workflow. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be out real soon. And otherwise, have a good one. Thank you so much.